Welcome to the AI Unraveled product Showdown. I'm your host, Etienne Noumen. This week, the AI world gave us a gift and a headache. OpenAI released GPT-5.3 Codex and Anthropic released Claude Opus 4.6 at almost the exact same time. I have spent the last 48 hours pushing both models to their breaking points. And the first thing I realized is that asking which one is better is the wrong question. It's like asking if a hammer is better than a blueprint. Let's start with GPT 5.3 Codex. This thing is a speed demon. It feels optimized for pure execution. If you are living in the terminal, running rapid iterations, or deploying agentic scripts to patch bugs on the fly, Codex is your weapon of choice. It moves fast. It ships code. It is the king of doing. Then there is Claude Opus 4.6. Using Opus feels different. It's slower but deeper. It excels at long context reasoning and multi-step problem solving. If you need to refactor a massive legacy code base or architect a new system from scratch, Opus doesn't just guess, it thinks. It holds the entire context in its head and delivers code with higher confidence. It is the king of thinking. So, what's the verdict? The most dangerous developers in 2026 aren't picking sides. They are using Codex to build and Opus to design. But a 2-minute review can only scratch the surface. To really understand the architecture, the benchmark nuances, and exactly how these models build themselves, we need to go deeper than a soundbite. I've handed the technical documentation and the benchmark logs over to our research team for a full forensic analysis. If you want to know which model will actually save your job and which one might replace it, you need to hear this. Let's go to the deep dive.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. It is Friday, February 6th, 2026, and I have to say, the energy in the tech world right now.
Oh, wow.
It is frantic. It feels like everyone is holding their breath.
It really does. It feels like the calm before a very specific type of storm. Or maybe we're actually right in the middle of the hurricane's eye and we just don't realize it yet.
Exactly. And, usually on this show, we like to take a topic, we gently peel back the layers, maybe swim around in the nuance a little bit.
We take our time.
We let things breathe. We are not doing that today.
Right.
Today, we are stepping squarely into the ring. Because if you have been anywhere near a terminal, a GitHub repo, or, I don't know, a developer Discord in the last week, you know there is a war going on.
A massive one.
Yeah.
And it's not a Cold War anymore. I mean, this is a hot war.
We are looking at the ultimate product showdown, the heavyweight title fight of 2026. And this isn't just about which tool is, shiny and new. It's about how the entire industry is functioning.
That's right.
In the red corner, we have the challenger, the speed demon, the new kid that everyone is screaming about, GPT 5.3 Codex.
And in the blue corner, the incumbent. The heavyweight champion of deep reasoning, the philosopher's stone of AI, Claude Opus 4.6.
This is the conversation right now. It's not just which AI is cool, it's which one do I pay for? Which one is actually going to build my app?
Or which one is going to take my job?
That's the big one. Today, we are going to separate the signal from the noise. We have stacks of user reports, we've got technical deep dives from the subreddits, and we have one mission.
To find a winner.
To find out if there is a winner.
And, I think the answer is going to surprise people. Because we all want a winner, right? It's human nature. We want to say, cancel that subscription, buy this one, game over.
Right. Done. Simple.
But looking at the data, looking at what the power users are actually doing in 2026, I think the era of the single model might be officially dead.
Ooh, hold that thought. That is a big claim. The single model era is dead. We are going to get there. But first, we have to put these two through their paces.
We have to.
We've broken this down into rounds. We're going to look at speed, we're going to look at reasoning, we're going to look at real-world applications like this swarm CRM concept I'm seeing everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
And finally, the culture of vibe coding.
I love that term. Vibe coding. It sounds like something you do at a music festival, not a hackathon.
It's wild. And just to keep things moving, to keep the energy up, we're going to score this. When we hear a pro, a killer feature, a moment where the software just shines, we'll call that a win.
Like a little mental ding.
A mental ding. And when we hit a snag, a flaw, or a total deal breaker.
That's the buzzer.
That's the buzzer.
Let's gamify the apocalypse. I'm ready.
All right, lift them straight into round one. We are calling this round the doer. And this is squarely focused on GPT 5.3 Codex.
The doer. That is the perfect label for this model. If you look at the source material, particularly the feedback coming out of the The artificial intelligence and our Codex communities this week. The identity of GPT-5.3 Codex is crystal clear.
And what is that?
It is optimized for one thing: execution.
Execution. That word keeps popping up in the logs. But help me understand, for the listener who maybe stepped away from the dev scene for a few months, how is execution different from what we had in 2024 or 2025?
That's a great question.
Wasn't ChatGPT always executing? Wasn't it always right in con?
Not like this. In 2024, execution meant you asked a question, the bot wrote some code, you copied it, pasted it into your editor, you ran it, saw an error, pasted the error back. It was a conversation.
Use it back and forth.
It was a back and forth. You were the hands and the AI was the voice. GPT 5.3 Codex isn't looking for a conversation.
What's it looking for?
It's looking for a terminal.
Right, okay. This is the terminal-style workflow mentioned in the notes. This feels like a shift in interface, not just intelligence.
Exactly. The sources highlight that Codex is integrating directly into the command line interface, the CLI. It's not sitting in a browser window anymore.
It's in your house.
It's living in your environment. It has its hands on the keyboard.
We have this great story from a user named Electronic Blood 885. I love these usernames, by the way.
They're the best.
They all sound like generated passwords.
Classic Reddit. But the insight is real. Very real.
So Electronic Blood 885 has been using what they call the Codex Command Center on a Mac, and their description of it is visceral. They say, and I'm quoting here, I can tell you, it's serious.
Serious. That's an interesting word choice for software, isn't it? Usually we hear cool or fast or slick.
Yeah.
Serious implies weight. It implies consequence.
It does. They say it's not just a helper anymore. They are talking about chaining skills and automations together. They describe a vibe where the AI isn't just answering a question.
It's taking over.
It's taking the wheel. It's driving the car.
This is the shift to what we call agentic behavior. And this is where Codex seems to be racking up the points. That's a clear ding right there.
Define agentic for us real quick. We hear it a lot, but what does it mean in this specific context? Because I feel like that word gets thrown around by marketing departments constantly.
Oh, all the time. But let's strip away the marketing.
Yeah.
A chatbot talks about work.
Okay.
An agent does the work.
I see.
In this Codex Command Center, you aren't saying, write me a script to delete these files. You're saying, clean up this directory. And the agent goes into the terminal, executes the ARM command, checks to see if it worked, realizes it missed a file, runs it again, and then tells you, done.
That's convenient, but also a little bit terrifying.
It is. It's the ability to not just generate text, but to perform an action. To go into the terminal, execute a script, see the error, fix the error, and execute it again, all while you just watch.
It closes the loop.
It closes the loop.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it's the speed, right? The user feedback consistently mentions that when the goal is to move quickly and ship, Codex is the undisputed king.
Oh, for sure.
It's the drag racer of the bunch.
It is the shipping mentality. If you are a startup founder, or you have a hackathon deadline, or you just need to get the prototype working now, you don't want a lecture on software architecture.
No.
You don't want a philosophical debate about variable naming conventions. You want the thing to run.
You just want it to work.
And Codex seems to have stripped away the hesitation. It's aggressive in its coding style.
Aggressive coding? That sounds like a recipe for bugs, doesn't it? It sounds like someone running with scissors.
It absolutely can be. But the argument here, specifically the CLI factor mentioned in the comparison points, is that the friction is gone. There's a sentiment that Codex CLI plus GPT-5 Codex is a more effective duo than the Claude equivalents if you were just trying to execute.
Why is that? Is Claude just bad at terminals? Is the incumbent losing its touch with the, the grimy reality of the command line?
It's not that Claude is bad at it. I think it's that OpenAI has clearly leaned hard into the developer environment integration.
Okay.
They aren't just building a model, they are building a command center. It feels like a tool for a power user. That's another point for Codex. A big ding.
It feels native.
It feels native. Claude still feels a bit like a consultant you have to email.
Ah, that's a great way to put it.
You send the request, you wait, you get a thoughtful reply. Codex feels like an intern sitting at your keyboard, typing furiously.
A hyper-caffeinated intern who maybe doesn't sleep.
Exactly. And who has read every Stat Overflow post in history.
So let's tally this up for round one. For pure speed.
Oh, that's a ding. Codex takes it. No contest.
For terminal integration and that agentic workflow.
Another ding. Absolutely. It owns the environment.
And there's always a but on this show. Speed isn't everything.
Not even close.
If you are running fast in the wrong direction, you just get lost faster. If you build a house in a day but it collapses when the wind blows, you didn't really build a house.
Precisely. And if you let that hyper-caffeinated intern loose on your production database without supervision, well, you might not have a job tomorrow. You might be explaining to your boss why the customer data is gone.
That brings us to the other side of the ring. Round 2, the thinker. Enter Claude Opus 4.6.
Yes. If Codex is the guy chugging energy drinks and typing at 100 words per minute, Claude Opus 4.6 is the senior engineer sitting back in a leather chair, sipping tea.
Right.
And just looking at the whiteboard for 20 minutes before picking up a marker.
The senior engineer. I like that analogy. But in a world of move fast and break things, is there still room for the guy sipping tea, or does he just get laid off?
I think there's more room than ever. In fact, the source material highlights Opus's strength in depth, long context reasoning, and multi-step problem solving.
Okay.
It has earned a reputation for being the adult in the room.
There was a quote from user initial Jelly7380 that really stuck out to me. They said, "For my engineer role, Claude is always top 1 model."
And notice the word engineer there, not coder.
It's not scripter. Engineer.
Let's peel that back. What is the functional difference in 2026? Because to my grandmother, those are the same thing.
A coder type syntax. A coder knows how to write a function in Python. A coder translates English into machine language.
Okay.
An engineer designs systems. An engineer thinks about how module A talks to module B, and what happens if the database fails, and is this scalable for the next 3 years?
So the coder asks, how do I write this loop? And the engineer asks, should we be using a loop at all? Or should this be a vector operation?
Exactly. Or, if we write this loop, will it crash the server when we have 1 million users? That is where Opus shines.
I see.
The feedback suggests is that while Codex is rushing to give you an answer, Opus is checking its work. It's simulating the outcome.
So it's about confidence.
It is about higher confidence code quality. That's the phrase from the text. When you use Codex, users are reporting that you might get code instantly, but you might spend an hour debugging it because it hallucinated a library that doesn't exist. Or it used a variable that wasn't defined, which completely defeats the purpose of the speed. You saved 5 minutes writing it and lost 60 minutes fixing it.
Right. It's false speed. It's a false economy.
Yeah.
With Opus 4.6, the claim is that it takes a bit longer. It thinks more literally. The latency is higher. You see the cursor waiting.
You feel that pause.
You feel it.
Yeah.
But when it outputs code, it works. And more importantly, it's architecturally sound. It fits into the bigger picture.
That is a huge value proposition. I mean, nothing kills momentum like debugging stupid errors. Nothing makes you hate your life more than chasing a missing semicolon for 3 hours.
Exactly. But there is a trade-off here. We have to be honest about it. Opus is not as fast.
Okay.
It's not as integrated into that command center terminal flow in the same aggressive way.
Yeah.
So you could almost give it a buzzer for that. You aren't going to get that matrix code scrolling down the screen vibe.
It feels a bit more academic.
It does.
But if you are planning the structure of a massive application, if you are dealing with a complex legacy code base that requires holding 50 files in context at once,
You talk to Opus, you hand it the documentation, you hand it the legacy code, and you say, explain to me how this breaks if I change X.
and it actually understands, it holds that massive context.
It understands. That's a huge ding for reasoning. It remembers things Codex forgets.
It holds the thread.
It holds the thread. And for reliability, another ding.
So we have the doer and the thinker. Speed versus depth. It feels like the classic tortoise and hare, but in this version, the hare is on rocket skates and the tortoise is a supercomputer.
That's a terrifying image, but yes, that is exactly where we are.
But let's get real. Theories are great, benchmarks are great, but what does this actually look like when you are trying to build something real
in the wild.
in the wild? I want to move to round 3, real-world application. Because we have a specific case study in our sources that I think just blows the lid off this whole chatbot idea. This isn't about chatting anymore.
You're talking about the Swarm CRM.
The Swarm CRM. This comes back to our friend Electronic Blood 885. This story gave me chills, honestly. It's a glimpse into the future of work that I don't think many people are ready for.
Walk us through it. What exactly happened here?
So this user isn't just asking for code snippets. They are building a customer relationship management system, a CRM.
Standard business software.
Right. Usually this takes a team of developers months to build, but they aren't coding it line by line. They describe a workflow where they took on 5 different prompts, threw them at the AI, and the AI didn't just write code.
It did more.
It categorized all the data and then put it all into Notion automatically.
Automatically. That is the key word.
And the user's reaction was the aha moment. They said, okay, now we can start chaining and braiding stuff together. Chaining and braiding.
That is beautiful terminology. Braiding. It implies weaving separate threads into a stronger rope.
What are they actually doing there? Describe the mechanics of braiding prompts. Because to me, a prompt is just a text box.
They're moving from being a writer of code to an orchestrator of agents. And this touches on a technical detail mentioned in the source that's super important. MCP tools.
MCP. We hear this acronym a lot. Break it down for us. Explain it like I'm 5. What is MCP?
Okay. MCP stands for Model Context Protocol. Think of it as a universal plug or a USB port for an AI.
Okay.
Before MCP, your AI was trapped in the chat box. It could write a poem about your calendar, but it couldn't see your calendar. It was isolated.
It was locked in a room. It was brilliant, but it had no hands.
Right. No senses. MCP allows the AI to connect to external tools like your file system, your Notion database, your Slack, your GitHub.
So it can interact with the world.
Exactly. So in this warm CRM example, the user isn't copy-pasting data. They have given the AI permission via MCP to reach into Notion and make changes.
So instead of the AI saying, here's some Python code to update Notion, good luck running it, the AI says, I have access to Notion, I just updated it for you.
Precisely. And the braiding comes in when you chain these tools. You have one prompt that says, scrape this email for lead data. The output of that prompt is automatically fed into a second prompt. Check this lead against our pricing model.
Okay.
The output of that is fed into a third, update the Notion database.
And the user just hits enter
once. And the swarm of agents goes to work. They hand off the baton to each other.
That is profound, because at that point, you aren't programming, you're managing. You're barely even managing. You're gesturing. You're pointing at a hill and saying, take that hill.
You are. But here's the catch, and this is why we need to bring the thinker back in, to set up that swarm, to define the logic of how those 5 prompts interact, to make sure prompt A doesn't hallucinate data before handing it to prompt B.
You need a brain.
You need a big brain.
Yeah.
You probably need the reasoning capabilities of Claude Opus to design the architecture first. You need to verify the logic.
I see. So the doer, which is Codex, is the one running around the warehouse, moving boxes, checking the emails, updating the rows. But the thinker, Opus, is the one who designed the logistics system in the first place.
Exactly. If you just unleash the doer without a plan, well, you have a very fast, very efficient disaster. You could hear the buzzer sound on that one.
Right.
Imagine an agent effectively deleting your entire database because it misunderstood a cleanup command.
Yikes. So the stakes are getting higher. When the AI can actually touch your files, a mistake isn't just a syntax error, it's data loss.
The stakes are much, much higher. Competence becomes a safety feature.
This leads us perfectly into round 4. Because there is a cultural shift happening alongside this technical one. It's not just about how the software works, it's about how the humans feel while using it.
Yes.
And there is a new term floating around the community that we have to talk about.
I think I know what you're going to say. It's been all over my feed.
Vibe coding.
Vibe coding. It sounds like a playlist on Spotify, doesn't it? Lo-fi beats to vibe code too.
It really does, but we are seeing subreddits like vibe coding, threads titled, fully given to the vibes, forget that the code even exists.
This is fascinating. It's the ultimate rejection of syntax. It's almost a philosophical movement. It's anti-intellectual in a weird, hyper-intellectual way.
Explain it to me. What is vibe coding? Is it just being lazy? Is it just people who don't know how to code pretending they do?
No, I don't think it's laziness. I think it's a flow state.
Okay.
It's the state you get when the AI is so good at the implementation details that you stop reading the code. You stop caring about the semicolons or the variable names. You are just directing the flow.
So you say, make the button blue.
You say, make the button blue, then now make it bounce. Now connect it to the database, now make it pop more. You are iterating based on intuition and vibe, rather than logic and syntax.
You're sculpting with code, but you aren't touching the clay.
That's a perfect analogy. You aren't reading the sheet music anymore. You're just playing. You're trusting the instrument to hit the notes.
But this brings up the showdown question. Which model allows you to vibe code better? Because if you are improvising, you need a partner who can keep up.
And the consensus seems split, but I think it's leaning towards Codex for the feeling of it.
Why Codex?
Because Codex is fast. Vibe coding requires instant gratification. You have an idea, you want to see it on screen, That's a point for Codex.
A big ding.
Yeah. If you have to wait 30 seconds for Opus to reason deeply about the sociological implications of your button color, the vibe is dead.
The vibe is killed. You're pulled out of the flow.
Exactly. You need that snap. You need the tool to disappear.
But there's a counterpoint here. User Hotel Apprehensive 402, great name, agreed that Claude is so top-notch for coding. But they admit the workflow is splitting. If vibe coding means I trust this output blindly because I'm just flowing, isn't that incredibly dangerous?
That is the danger of vibe coding. That's the dark side. If you are forgetting the code exists, as the subreddit says, you are putting 100% trust in the model.
Which you can't do.
You can't. If Codex makes a mistake, a subtle security vulnerability, for example, you might not catch it.
Because you didn't read it. You just saw the button turn blue and moved on. You didn't see that it also opened a backdoor to your server.
Exactly. You checked the vibe, but you didn't check the structural integrity.
No.
You built a beautiful house on a sinkhole.
So Opus might break the flow with its slowness, but it protects you from yourself.
In a way, yes. So Codex is the fun, risky partner that takes you on a wild road trip.
Right.
Opus is the responsible buzzkill who makes sure you have insurance and a spare tire.
And in software, sometimes you need the buzzkill. Usually around 3:00 a.m. when the server is down, you wish you had the buzzkill.
Sometimes the buzzkill saves your life, or at least your job.
Okay. We have gone through the rounds. We've seen the speed of the doer, the depth of the thinker, the power of the swarm CRM, and this wild culture of the vibe.
It's a lot.
It is. Now we have to deliver a verdict. Round 5.
The verdict.
The sources are pretty explicit here. We went into this looking for a fight. We wanted a knockout. We wanted to tell the listener, buy X, ignore Y.
We wanted blood on the mat.
We did. But user Dorothy AI puts it bluntly, the era of the single model dev environment is definitely over.
And that is the headline. That is the takeaway. If you are a listener right now, and you are paying for just one subscription, or you are religiously sticking to just one model because you're a Claude person or a GPT person,
Yeah.
you are losing.
It's not a winner-takes-all situation.
No, the source explicitly says it doesn't feel like a winner-takes-all situation. The winning strategy in 2026 is synergy.
Synergy, or, to use the word from the source, smart orchestration.
Smart orchestration. This is the new formula for being a 10x developer. You don't ask which model should I use. You ask which model should I use for this specific step.
Let's break down that formula, because synergy is a buzzword. It sounds like something a consultant charges you $1 million to say. I want a playbook. Based on everything we've read today, what is the optimal stack? Walk me through a project.
Okay, here is the playbook. This is what the pros are doing. Step 1, architecture and planning. You are starting a project. You need to define the database schema, the API structure, the edge cases. You have a blank whiteboard. What do you call?
You call the thinker Claude Opus 4.6.
Correct. You use Opus for deep reasoning. You get it to write the blueprint. You get it to critique your ideas. You say, here's what I want to build. Tell me why it will fail.
You let it play devil's advocate.
You get that high confidence plan.
Okay, step 2. We have the blueprint. We know what we're building. Now we need to actually build the house. We need to write the boilerplate, set up the environment, install the packages, run the tests. Who do you call?
You call the doer GPT-5.3 Codex.
Make sense?
You feed it Opus's plan. You say, here's the spec, execute.
Yeah.
You use the command center. You use those agentic capabilities to churn through the tasks. You let it type.
It's the architect and the foreman.
That is the perfect analogy. Opus is the architect in the office drawing the beautiful, structurally sound blueprints.
Right.
Codex is the hyperactive foreman on the site, yelling at the crew, pouring the concrete, and getting the walls up before lunch.
And what happens if you try to swap them? If you try to make the foreman design the building?
You get a building that goes up in record time, but falls over in a strong wind because the foundation was poured on sand. The details are wrong. That's a buzzer for sure.
And if you try to make the architect pour the concrete?
It takes 10 years to build a garden shed because they are debating the aesthetic qualities of the cement mix.
Right.
It's paralysis by analysis. Another buzzer.
So the final score is a tie.
It's a cooperative tie. The product is no longer the model. The product is the stack. The product is how you combine them.
That is a massive shift in mindset. We used to compare tools. Now we have to compare workflows.
Exactly. The skill of the future isn't prompt engineering for one model. It's model orchestration. It's knowing which employee to send the email to. It's management.
Before we wrap up, I want to recap this for everyone listening because this can feel overwhelming. We threw a lot of version numbers and usernames at you.
Let's simplify it. Let's boil it down.
GPT 5.3 Codex, the doer, best for.
Speed, terminal commands, agentic tasks, and vibe coding your way through a prototype. It gets things done.
Claude Opus 4.6, the thinker, best for.
Reasoning, complex architecture, debugging the hard stuff, and planning the swarm. It gets things right.
And the so what
Yep.
for our listener, the learner, why does this matter to them right now, today?
It matters because if you are bottlenecking your own productivity by trying to force one tool to do everything, you're working harder, not smarter.
Right.
The smart builder, and that's a term from the text, adapts the tool to the task. You need to be multilingual in AI models. You need to be comfortable switching contexts.
Don't be a fanboy. Be a builder.
Be a builder. Use the best tool for the job.
I love that. Now, I want to leave the listeners with a thought, a little something to chew on over the weekend.
Okay.
We talked about the doer and the thinker. We talked about Electronic Blood 885 chaining prompts into swarms that categorize data and update Notion automatically.
That's powerful stuff. It's transformative.
It is. But here is the question that's been nagging me. As we start braiding these things together, as the doer gets better at executing complex chains, at what point does the doer start doing the thinking without you even asking?
That's the scary part, isn't it?
If Codex is executing tasks in your terminal, moving files, updating your CRM, and fixing its own errors, who is really the project manager here? Is it you?
Or is the AI?
Is it the AI? We might be moving from human in the loop to human strictly optional.
The orchestration layer might just be the AI talking to itself.
And on that comforting bombshell,
Keep your hands on the wheel, everyone, while you still can.
don't just code, orchestrate. Thanks for diving deep with us. We'll see you in the next one.
And before you go, if your company is building the tools that power the workflows we talked about today, I'd love to showcase them to this audience. We don't just run ads, we build technical simulations that prove your value. Let's build something together. Visit jamgamind.com/partners to get started. Until next time, keep building.